Welcome to the era of utility. Most people still believe the financial reset is something that's coming. But the truth is, it already happened. Not in a single day, and not with a single announcement. It happened quietly, through years of code, regulation, and calculated transition. While the world argued about inflation, interest rates, and digital currencies, the real shift was already underway. The global financial system has been quietly re-engineered for utility. We're not witnessing the beginning of a change. We're living in the aftermath of one. For nearly 80 years, the world's financial order ran on trust. Trust in central authorities, in the dollar, in the institutions built at Bretton Woods. SWIFT carried the messages. The dollar carried the dominance. Every transaction flowed through layers of custodians, clearing houses, and correspondent banks. Each took their cut. Each added delay. That system worked when the world was slower, but it couldn't survive the digital age. When the 2008 crisis froze liquidity, governments printed trillions to keep the system alive. And in 2020, when a pandemic froze supply chains and trade, the fragility became impossible to ignore. The architecture of money itself had reached its limit. Behind closed doors, central banks began to prepare the upgrade. They called it modernization. But in truth, it was replacement. This wasn't an accident. It was engineered. Institutions with decades of dominance understood something fundamental. The old system could no longer scale. If they didn't rebuild it, someone else would. So, while the public focused on stock markets and crypto prices, global payment networks began migrating to a new language, ISO 2022. At the same time, the IMF and the BIS launched experiments in interoperability, designing multi-CBDC bridges, systems where national currencies could transact seamlessly on shared digital ledgers. Each project appeared separate, but all shared a single objective: to make value move like information. Money that travels instantly, transactions that settle globally in seconds, an economy where liquidity doesn't get trapped in middlemen. That's not a dream. It's the blueprint already being implemented. But every transformation begins with noise. Before utility, there is always speculation. Before clarity, there is always chaos. The early crypto era was necessary. It forced innovation out of the shadows. But what we're entering now is the era of utility. The point where speculation collapses and only real use cases remain. Just like the dot-com crash cleared the field for Amazon and Google, the crypto winters are clearing the field for networks that solve real problems. Central banks aren't chasing NFTs or memes. They're tokenizing assets, bonds, carbon credits, real estate, and gold. They're experimenting with programmable money and atomic settlement. The real liquidity of the future will flow through rails that work, rails that deliver value, not hype. Ripple saw this coming years ago. While others built coins, Ripple built corridors. They focused on utility, not speculation. They designed a system that could bridge value between banks, payment providers, and currencies that didn't trust each other. XRP was never meant to replace money. It was meant to connect it. While lawsuits and headlines captured attention, Ripple kept building, forming partnerships in Asia, the Middle East, and Africa. By the time regulators caught up, the network was already global. Now, Ripple sits at the intersection of two worlds: the legacy financial system desperate for modernization and the decentralized technologies capable of powering it. ISO 2022 compliance, real-time settlement, partnerships with central banks. This isn't theory, it's infrastructure. The beauty and the danger of the new system is transparency. Every transaction, every movement of value becomes data. Efficiency replaces opacity. For institutions, that means new forms of control. For innovators, it means new opportunities. For ordinary people, it means the end of financial illusions. Money is becoming information, and information cannot be hidden forever. This is the collective shift, from speculation to transparency, from hoarding to flow, from centralization to networks. It's not purely financial, it's evolutionary. And those who understand this early will navigate it with awareness instead of fear. Right now, most of the world is still distracted. They're watching the headlines, chasing the next rally, arguing about politics and inflation. But the quiet ones, the early insiders, are paying attention to infrastructure. They're watching which networks are being tested by governments, which protocols are being adopted by banks, which corridors are live. Because when the liquidity finally shifts, it won't announce itself. It will just move. The same way the internet took over without permission, the financial internet of value will do the same. And the few who saw it early will have already positioned themselves. The old world ran on trust. The new world runs on code. The old world rewarded gatekeepers. The new world rewards interoperability. The shift isn't coming someday. It's already here. Most people just haven't updated their perspective yet. This isn't about getting rich overnight. It's about understanding the next era of civilization, one where liquidity, data, and identity merge into a single digital fabric. That's the era of utility. If you've made it this far, you're already part of the few who see what's happening. While the rest wait for an announcement, you're witnessing the architecture forming in real time. This channel exists to track that transition, to map the hidden connections between regulation, technology, and global liquidity. Subscribe if you want to stay ahead of the curve, to understand the system before it becomes visible to everyone else. Because the reset didn't start tomorrow. It already happened. You're just early enough to understand what comes next.